I don't know, I don't remember paying for the SAT.
I'm old, Gandalf.
If I do bad, I wouldn't have did all that.
Hello, my loves. So in my last upload, my little financial aid chit chat upload, I feel like I did not go over the hidden fees as well as I should have. So today I'm just gonna do a quick 10-minute video, 10 or so minutes of how much I actually spent in the 20 months that I've been in medical school. So let's just jump right into it. First of all, I know that I already discussed the Graduate Plus loan as well as the cost of attendance, but just to go over it again, your cost of attendance is your cap for how much money you will be getting back, okay? So if your cost of attendance is $60,000 and you end up getting approved for a loan of $80,000, you are only going to be able to apply $60,000, okay? And you're gonna get as a refund whatever is after the tuition and fees and other little mandatory expenses of your school, okay? Usually that cost of attendance does not factor in the summer months. So at the bare minimum, you're gonna be short about 2 to 3 months worth of living expenses, okay? Then you may also be short if the cost of attendance underestimates how much you actually spend for different categories. So for example, the room and board at my school, when I divided it out by 12, is about $1,000 short of what I actually spend. And room and board meaning like my rent plus food. I wanna say that when I did the math, they estimated that a person's rent is about like $1,000 flat, and mine is almost double that because I live by myself. I understand that that is a choice. That is not something that I had to do, that a lot of people live with roommates and multiple housemates. For me and my mental health and safety, I cannot do that. I am not going to do that, and that is a non-negotiable for me. So that is something that going into school, I understood was going to be an erroneous expense that I was going to have to foot on my own. So that's just an example of things that you might have to look at in terms of an itemized cost of how much are you actually spending per year, per month. Something else that you need to keep in mind is that you do have to buy your own stethoscope as well as other medical equipment unless your school gifts that to you. I know some classes had the luck of having their alumni pay for their stethoscopes, but if not, in order to get like a decent one, you're looking at spending about $100 to $200 plus. And you need this. You have to have a stethoscope in order to proceed through your clinicals and OSCEs and things like that. And they're not always going to be able to have you borrow one. So you're gonna have to buy that. I didn't have to buy scrubs. Some people have asked me that before. I did not use scrubs because in your preclinical years, you're literally in class. So there should be no reason that you need to have them on. You can choose to wear them for certain clinical didactics or clinical lectures, but it's just not necessary. People do it just because it looks cool. You don't actually need to buy scrubs until your clinical years, whenever that is. For me, that was after the first 18 months. So now that I'm about to be starting in my clinic in June, I'm going to have to buy scrubs because I'm going to be on the hospital floor running around, and it just doesn't make sense for me to be wearing business professional or business casual clothes to do that. Something else that you might end up buying in terms of medical equipment other than a stethoscope, you might end up having to buy like a kit or two. I didn't do this, but I know some of my classmates did. I know they bought like otoscopes and fundoscopes, different things that you need for the physical exam, because unfortunately not every school is well equipped to have these materials provided for you, or you're gonna have to like borrow them and there's a limited amount or whatever. So that just may be an expense that you have, but it was not one that I explicitly had. So I think that's it in terms of just minor miscellaneous expenses. But now let's get into the actual academic costs that are not in your tuition. So step one is $678 as of 2024. I don't know if that number is gonna go up with the incoming classes, but I paid $678. Because I ended up moving my exam, I actually ended up spending another like $116. And I think it gets even worse depending on how close you move your exam to the time that you're supposed to take it, just like the MCAT, or I think even the SAT. I don't know, I don't remember paying for the SAT.
I'm old, Gandalf.
But so I might be lying about that. But anyway, you pay for that and that comes out of your pocket, okay? That is not something that is included in your tuition and fees. That is something that is gonna come out of your refund check, or is something that you are gonna have to foot on your own. In terms of study materials, my school did provide me with 1 or 2 platforms, but the main platforms that I ended up needing and using, I had to buy on my own. So I spent $300 on one platform called Sketchy Medical. And then now most schools also don't cover both step 1 and step 2 prep. My school only covers step 1 prep. So I was going to have to spend like $506 out of my own pocket in order to buy the study and question banks that I need in order to prepare for the second part of my licensing exam. Let me just back up and let me break this out so it's very clear. Step 1, you have the actual licensing exam cost to register and apply. That is $678. That is plus or minus any other fees that you accumulate from moving your exam after a certain deadline, whatever it says on their website. Then you have step 2, which is about $700 and something the last time I checked. And you have to take step 2 before you enter your 4th year for most programs. So in general, during your 4 years of medical school education, you are looking at spending $1,000 plus extra that is not included in your total cost of attendance and is not included in your refund. That is something that you are going to have to keep in mind that is coming out of the money that you get back. So for me, because I was already short in terms of my refund for my summer months, and then the fact that my housing and other things are more expensive than they calculated, that was money that I had to make up on my own. That's money that I had to save up. That's money that I had to put on a credit card, whatever. That is what I had to do, okay? Then for the study platforms, same thing. Your school may provide you 1 or 2, which is why it is important to ask your administration, hey, what do we get in terms of studying and preparing for step 1? I'm gonna say it right now. The platforms that I live by and I stand by are Boards and Beyond, Sketchy Medical, Amboss. Well, actually, I'm sorry, not Amboss. I saw it, I used it. I didn't find it to be critical to me, but definitely UWorld, okay? So it's at least 3 or 4 platforms, and these platforms range from $300 to $700, and these are annual renewals. So that means you are gonna have to buy these for every single year that you are in medical school if your school does not give them to you or does not provide you a reimbursement. So you can see how just with that portion alone, and then also going back in and adding in the cost of a stethoscope, adding in the cost of scrubs once you get into the clinic, adding in the cost of buying comfortable shoes because you're in your feet all day long once you're in the clinic, right? You are looking at spending about, like I said, almost $1,000 for one section, and then plus, and altogether at the end of your 4 years, you potentially needed almost $5,000 out of pocket in order to successfully progress through your education. I just wanted to come on here and be very frank and blunt and honest about that, because a lot of people don't have the best financial literacy, right? They don't have those skills. They don't have the family members to talk them through and advise them about these things. Talking to financial aid can also just be very overwhelming, especially because you're trying to study, right? Like you're trying to study and you're trying to pass. And so I think it's best just to learn this information honestly and upfront and in advance as much as you can. So that way they can just be things that you're aware of, that you know that you have to tackle and that you can potentially deal with at a later time. Again, you can go on to my grocery shopping financial chit chat video that I uploaded to get more specific details of what I do. But honestly, the number one thing that I can recommend is to have a very good credit limit and have a credit card that doesn't have a high balance. So that way, if push comes to shove, you can just put it on the credit card and deal with it and pay it back at a later time. Most credit cards allow you to have 12 to 15 months interest free, right? So no matter what you run up on that card, there's no interest applied to it until after that free interest period ends. And so that's just something that maybe you could look into if you're comfortable having a debt over your head. But yeah, I just wanted to come on here and just give out those very basic numbers so that people had a better idea of what they're really getting themselves into, because I do find that there is not a clear just document of excess expenses to access, and you usually have to learn this information through word of mouth and conversation. And oftentimes the people who you are conversing with don't see these things as a big deal because most people who enter medical practice are rich, okay? And I have never been around so many people who are outside of my tax bracket in my life. And it is what it is. It's the reality. So I just figured me sharing this would hopefully help someone. Please let me know down below if you still have more comments or questions, but I hope that this was as short and as sweet and direct as I could get it. Okay, bye.